Hi, welcome back to my channel. We're on day 12 now, and today's Inktober prompt is spicy. So I had this idea to draw someone that's basically like breathing fire after having eaten something too hot to bear. I think the details for this drawing lie in the open mouth as though screaming, and especially the eyes as though kind of in pain from having just, eaten something uncomfortably hot. Also, I think if someone's got their mouth out wide open and screaming in pain, their nose would be kind of crinkled up as well. So I'm gonna try and draw that as best I can to make this look. I want you to be able to see that he's screaming in pain with fire coming out of his mouth. Emotions can be hard to draw, so I'm trying to simplify it down to like cartoon-like cliches. I also thought this would be a good drawing to finally try out my dipping inks that I bought for this month. So I've got my dip pen out with a very fine point nib, semi-flexible so I can get some thicker lines if I need to. Unfortunately, as you can see while I was opening the ink, I got a couple of drops sprayed on the page, and then as I brushed the page I smudged them. So I'm gonna have to try and get rid of them later. I don't want to mess around with it now. I'm doing all the outlines. And I have actually recently bought an eraser that says it's made for ink. So I'm gonna see how well it works in a moment, or if it works. Normally, if I need to correct a mistake with ink, and I just smudged more, I would use a blade to scrape it off the page, but this eraser by Tombow Mono is actually made for ink. And wow, surprisingly it works, but only on lighter areas. I've also got this blade that I thought I might need to use, so I'm scraping off just the surface of the page on the really thick smudge, and then going over it with this eraser. And between them both, I think I managed to kind of correct that. Anyway, this is my drawing for day 12, Spicy. The Scrawltober prompt for today is Rose. And it's been a good long while since I've drawn any roses, though I love drawing flowers in general. I've decided to draw just one really big rose to take up the majority of this page. I'm doing the basic sketch with a pencil like I do with all my drawings, because wherever I make mistakes, which often happens, I can always correct it, and then if I need to reposition anything or resize anything, it's easy to do. And then I decided to color this in with pencils. I know I often say that pencils take a long time to achieve the layers, but I don't know, I just really wanted to use pencils on this one. I'm going in with light pressure on the first layer, just to get the base color in, and then I'm gonna work in all the other layers to deepen the colors after I get the first base layer on the whole rose. That way I can see which areas need kind of highlights, which areas gotta be deeper in the shadow. But I don't want to have to struggle with it later when I'm doing all the layers. I want to be able to clearly see where all the lights and shadows are. I'm using Caran luminance pencils for this one because they're very creamy, they layer exceptionally well, and they have a really nice blending pencil for right at the end. So depending on how many layers I do, and if I do any burnishing with the actual colors, but I might want to get rid of the pencil lines of the pencil, so the blending pencil works really well for that. It basically just fills the tooth of the paper and makes the coloring look quite solid when you're done. It should only be used right at the end after you've already done all the layers and all the coloring. This drawing did end up taking me nearly 4 hours to complete, and so far this is the longest I've spent on any of the challenge drawings this month. So I'm just gonna speed this up as much as possible and let you watch for a bit. Okay, so now I have a base layer of color over the whole rose, and I can clearly see where I want the highlights on each of the petals. I'm going over and adding color in layers. So 3 to 4 to 5, maybe even 6 layers of color gradually, because I don't want to just go in with hard pressure and fill in the tooth of the paper, and then I won't be able to see if the color is even somewhere where I don't want to even. Doing it in layers allows me to kind of add the gradation of color and adjust it if I need to. I've got 3 reds. One is like a deep pinkish kind of red for the bright red parts. The highlights I'm doing with a warmer, kind of more orange tone red, and I've also got a deep dark wine red for the shadowy areas that blend into the black, into the depth of the rose. The actual shadows, I'm just using a pure black, and I'm trying to avoid burnishing it at this stage. I am doing it in layers, and I'm adding pressure with every layer that I add. But with these pencils and on this paper, there's still at least a couple of layers of good pressure before I would actually call this burnished. Also, when it comes to the highlights, I'm avoiding filling in the tooth of the paper completely. I want some of that paper to show through because I want them to be light. I do have a white pencil that is a titanium buff, so it's just a little bit off-white. So just on the edges of the petals where it feels like there's light, but it's a different color light to the highlights of where the petals kind of open up. So I'm going over just the edges with this white off-white color, and I am actually burnishing that edge, so I can't add any more color to that. That will stay the color that it is now. When I start coloring each petal, I start with the brightest color first and then add the shadow color, leaving the highlight to last. This allows me to be able to continue to see the lightest area that I want, and then I can decide just how much color I want to add to that highlight so I don't lose it by accident by coloring it in first and, you know, just making it too dark. I'm using a tissue under my hand now to protect the drawing from the natural oils on my hands. Not because I think I would smear it, I don't think these pencils would smudge, but the oils that are naturally present in our skin could end up causing discoloration. So it's mainly just for that, where I need to get to the central portion and I'm leaning on the page. I don't want to actually touch the colors. Well, the drawing is now basically done, so what I need to decide now is whether I'm going to burnish it or get rid of that tooth of the paper on the majority of the drawing. And I've decided to do it with the blending pencil. Like I mentioned earlier, they do provide a really excellent quality blending pencil, and I'm going over just the majority of the bright colors, mostly not touching the highlights. But as you can see, it makes a difference to the red, and it especially makes a difference to the black. So I'm just going over it quickly with the same burnishing pencil. I'm wiping the tip between when I move between black and red so I don't accidentally contaminate any areas. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more daily art. Thanks, see you soon!